Tell you, I'm just about done with it. No, I am done with this. This is just, these people drive me insane. As you know, Carolyn and I quit a job, I guess about, 7 years ago now. We were just working ourselves to death. We got debt free and had a savings account built up. Worked really hard to accomplish that. The job was just getting so stressful that after I was able to stop paying child support, daughter was old enough I could stop paying, Carolyn and I decided to start traveling. And we did it in a pop-up camper. And it's just fascinating to me how many people said, oh, you can't live in a pop-up camper. Well, we did, in the winter too, in Missouri, where it was really cold. And so we documented all that in the YouTube videos. Of course, we had to come to Missouri. There was a family medical problem. Then we went back down to Florida, and we was able to make it work until someone burned the camper down. And then we built a truck camper. And we made it out of 2x2s, Luan, which worked for a while. I think we did that Luan for a year. And then we put Coroplast on top of it. And I remember people just said that it was not going to work. You cannot build a truck camper. Birds were going to fly through it the first time a bird hit it. Of course, we had to have it really light. The truck camper had to be really light. It was 250 pounds after we got it all built, because the truck is a 4-cylinder, and we just had to be really careful that we didn't overwork the truck, because we still had to carry water and batteries, so it had to be light. And it's still sitting here. I mean, it's on its last year. This is the last year we're going to use it, but we brought it to this property so we could live in it while we built the tiny house. Now, originally, the truck camper just sat on the rails of the truck bed, and so the floor of the truck was our floor, so it was a metal floor. Now, we had that plastic bed liner, that rubbery bed liner, and so we were able to take showers, and the shower water would run right out of the bed of the truck. And it worked great. But then when we had to put it on the ground here, I had to build a base. I built the base out of 2x2s and OSB. And again, that ain't gonna work. I mean, I built it at Mom's house. So the idea was to be able to throw this base on top of the camper while we drove down here from Mom's house, and then take the camper off the truck right onto the base, screw it onto the base. It ain't gonna work. 2x2s, it just ain't gonna work. The thing is I think the people that were telling me the base wasn't gonna work didn't even know anything about the truck camper, how we built it, why we built it the way we did, how light it was, how heavy it was. And so when I actually set the camper down on the base here on the property, several people came back, oh, I didn't realize that's what you were doing. Then why'd you say you can't do that? You just can't do that. So they already closed it out before they had any idea what to do. It's very infuriating. So then we started building the tiny house. Now, I've never built a tiny house or anything that you could live in. I built a dog kennel before, and I built a front porch and closed in the back porch, but nothing fancy. I mean, basically measure, cut, measure, cut. Coming up to the tiny house, that was a real challenge, because there were just things I did not have any concept on how to do. So I took each step along the way, just researched every little piece. I remember where I built the floor. Now, remember, the floor is on a trailer frame, a mobile home trailer frame. So it's a steel frame. And so I used the floor boards, the boards for the floor, from the trailer to make my tiny house. They were 2x4s. That would save a lot of money. I was able to use 2x4s. They came literally right off the trailer. I can't tell you how many people, you can't use 2x4s, you gotta have 2x8s, 2x8s, you can't use 2x4s, you gotta use 2x8s. Well, that didn't even make sense to me. I'm literally using the same materials that came off the trailer to make a trailer. I was just redoing it, because some of the boards are rotten over the years, and so I had to, of course, shrink it down, and there was enough boards for us to use. But boy, you just can't do that. Well, I did it, and it's still there. And then, of course, I took a lot of shortcuts because I didn't have to follow code. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you skirted the law. No, I didn't skirt the law. The law clearly says I don't have to follow code if it's under a certain square footage. Or if it's on a trailer frame, that's not skirting. I'm not ever going to sell this. That's the reason codes are in existence, is because if you're going to sell it, they want to make sure the next person who buys it has a safe home. As far as me killing myself, it doesn't matter, and the law doesn't care. So I took a lot of shortcuts. Oh, you can't do that. Can't do that. I mean, header beams and they just all kinds of things. And I just knew it wasn't true. And if you Google and do enough research, you'll learn what you can skip and can't skip and what's necessary and what's not necessary. I remember everybody telling me that all 4 walls are supporting walls. And it's just not true. It's the walls that support the trusses are the supporting walls. The 2 end walls, so you got the gable, the wall up on the front of the house where the gable is not a supporting wall. There's no weight on that wall from the roof, none. But you just cannot convince people that you can do these things. You just got to research it. So now we live on a tiny house and raising chickens and living off grid on solar panels. I've been spending a lot of time discussing my solar panels. And I feel like I've been pretty clear on it. If you watch the entire series of videos, it should be pretty self-explanatory. There's only, 4 components, and that's just a guess in my head. So you got solar panels, you got a charge controller, you got batteries, and you got an inverter. That's it. It's just not hard to do. And I've said for $400, you can buy all these components off Amazon except for the battery. Go to Walmart and get the battery. Well, you can go to Walmart and get the inverter too. But for some reason, you just can't do it. No. Got all kinds of reasons. And the reason they think it's so complicated is because they watch some other guy on YouTube talking about the Canuter valve and the genetic switch and all kinds of junk that you've never heard of, and you're like, what? These people are trying to make it complicated. They want you to come back watching their videos. So if they overcomplicate the system, you have to come back. Well, I'm telling you, you should be able to just do it. Get yourself a solar panel, a battery, an inverter, and a charge controller. Hook it up. And if you burn something up, well, yeah, it's $400, but you're only going to burn one thing up, not the whole set. So you might have to go get a new one thing. I mean, the other day, I got my charge controller wet. My brand new charge controller. Got it wet. Oh, that was so frustrating. $94. Just got it 2 days earlier. And the camper leaked. And leaked right on it. Just aggravating. Another $100 is what I was going to have to spend. But I took it completely apart because, people say, you can't do that. So I took it completely apart. Took the little piece of toilet paper and dabbed the whole thing. Everything dry. Set it in front of a fan for an hour. Put it all back together. Hooked it up. And it worked like new. But you can't do it. No. It's broke. And so you've already counted yourself out before you even got started. And then I still get people today, I can't build a tiny house. Well, why can't you? I did it. I'm not overly smart. And the thing is, here's the thing is, I don't have a lot of fancy tools. I had a saw, circular saw, a generator, an extension cord, an electric drill. Eventually, I bought myself a battery operated set. That was $100, but I was pretty much done with the project by the time I got that. So every step of the way, I was having to start the generator and stop the generator, start the generator, and I was trying to organize it all so I could just start the generator one time and get all my cuts done and then shut off the generator. I was able to do it all, and Google and YouTube, and my dad would throw out some information occasionally, but that was it. I didn't get any help. Carolyn helped me lift one wall and helped me put the shower together. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's just that simple. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And this thing, I'm a woman, so I don't have a man to help. I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine Carolyn ever saying, oh, I need a man to help me do that. And she came down here and built that shed I showed you yesterday. And she refused to let me do anything. And if she did need help, she would say, hey, can you help me lift this or whatever? But you could have gotten anybody to help you lift that. Anybody, not just me. Didn't need a man. And she did the whole thing by herself. I built the floor, but imagine the sense of accomplishment that she built something. So without needing help, just did it herself. But constantly, gotta have help. Regularly, I talk about the independence of living off-grid. I want to be self-sufficient. I don't want anybody's help. I've said in a previous video, I'm not a big people person. So Me asking for help, I'm just not going to do it. I will work myself to death trying to figure out how to do it before asking someone to help. So the independence is part of the whole thing. I don't want to have to rely on a food source. I don't want to have to rely on an electric source. I don't want to have to rely on anybody, because people always let you down. Corporations. I mean, heck, just the other day, FedEx let me down. Bought solar panels. They said it was going to be here on a specific day. I was ready to make a video of me hooking up the 2 new solar panels, and FedEx didn't show up. It caused me more agony than if I'd have just did it myself. Somehow gone down to a store and picked them up myself. But no, I picked these up. Asking for a loan. People want to ask for a loan. Now, maybe I can find a place that's financed by someone. They'll privately finance it. No, don't get it financed, because if something went wrong, like the pandemic, and you can't afford to pay it, they're just going to take the property back and keep your money. So no, do it yourself. Pay cash. And so just today I got a comment. I just don't have the skills to do what you're doing, but I got a friend that does some homesteading. So he's going to come over and help me build my off-grid place. Well, I can guarantee you, you're never going to live off-grid. He's not going to. Why would anybody want to put that much effort into you? I don't have anybody that friendly. I just wouldn't want to help anybody that much. I can't imagine anybody wanting to set up my solar panel system for me. The thing is if you go watch the van lifers, the people who live in vans, they do things themselves. I've watched women build an entire van, cut the boards, put solar panels on, figure out the plumbing, figure out the electrical. But then when you say, let's live off grid, gotta have a man to help me. No, you don't. You can do it. I promise you, you can do it. It is so frustrating listening to people tell me they can't do it. Well, then you've already lost it. You're not going to make it. I'm sorry. Open up Google, start looking how to do things. So, if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to a video where I was showing you the shed that Carolyn put together. So if I can inspire you to do it yourself so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.